Players, this is Lucidin, GM for the Dojo's Burning. I plan on teaching people how to use add-ons. The main reason I'm doing this video is because the guild that I'm basically the GM for is a social leveling guild on Hyjal, and I like to teach the new players how to use add-ons, and I plan on teaching them how to do key binding and macros and things to make their WoW life a little bit easier. So I'm just going to start first by teaching you how to manually download and install an add-on into your WoW folder directly. Now after that, I also plan on showing you how to download the Twitch app, which makes the downloading process considerably easier. So once you learn how to do that, everything else pretty much kind of falls into place, and then we'll go from there. So you'll have a strong foundation at which to make your WoW experience a lot more enjoyable. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. I was going to start a video on how to download add-ons and how to do the Twitch app. So we're going to go ahead and get started, but I decided to start a new character so you could see a fresh canvas. This is the Dojo Sensei. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and show you what it looks like. This is the default UI that you've all seen before. There's not much to it. It's pretty simple. I'll usually play Blood Elves because of Blood Elf Master Race, you know. But it's pretty easy. It's pretty stripped down though, so there's really not much to this UI. Now some people may love this, but to really get the most out of the game, you really need to kind of configure the UI to be able to work a little bit better for yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to manually download an add-on. So we'll start by going onto the internet. So I'm going to transition over to my other screen so that you can see what's going on there. Now what you should see now is basically a website called tuckui.org. Now what they have is an add-on called ElvUI. Now ElvUI is basically a fairly straightforward add-on, but it does reconfigure your whole screen. So what you're going to want to do is go to tuckui.org. It's up here at the top. You can just do this through Google or Edge browser, whatever you want, and then go to here, and it'll say download ElvUI, and click ElvUI. Now you'll download this. Now I've already has it downloaded, so I'm going to show you all the steps, but I'm not actually going to download the ElvUI. Now you click down here at the bottom left, and once you've clicked that, you click that there, and now up here you should see a new folder come up, and it should say extract all. Now when you extract all, it's going to take a minute to do it, but it's not that hard, so you just extract all. It may bring it to a new window because I have a multi-monitor setup, so I'll drag things over so you can see it. You'll see that the download is a ElvUI 11.41, and then you hit extract. Now when you hit extract, it may take a minute, so that's not the biggest deal in the world. Now it will depend on the speed of your computer, how long this extraction takes. It can take anywhere from like a minute to maybe 5 minutes depending on your computer. Now if you have a really slow computer, it may take longer, but once it's extracted, it's really not that big a deal. Now once this actually does finish downloading, what you're going to want to do is take the new file, because it's going to show up a whole different window with the extracted folder, and that'll come up in just a second. So it's always having to wait for the downloads. You know, they always take a while, but that's not a big deal because that's what I'm here for, to teach you how to actually do this. So patience is a virtue when it comes to anything that has to do with reconfiguring. So once you learn it, you're going to enjoy it. Now as you can see, it's downloaded and extracted, and we have 2 new files. Now it doesn't really matter, but what you do is you click this, left click, grab both files, then you right click it, and then you can copy or cut. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to copy them, and then what you're going to want to do is go to your PC down here, and then you have your different, basically your hard drives. Now you may only have one hard drive, and I put all mine on an M.2 SSD for my video games. So I'll click that, and in my World of Warcraft folder, Now once you do that, you're going to see Classic, Retail, and all these other things. If you have Classic, you can actually download add-ons for Classic if you want to, but we're going to go to Retail. Now when you do that, you're going to see another thing come up. Where you're going to want to go for this is Interface. So you click Interface and then Add-ons. And you're going to see a lot of add-ons for me. Now your box will pretty much be empty if you don't have any add-ons installed. But yeah, I have a lot of add-ons. So just don't pretend like you don't see that. Now what you'll do then is you right click somewhere in the folder and then just hit paste. Now I'll just go ahead and re-download it because it's really not going to matter. It's pretty much the same thing now. If you're ever downloading an add-on again, like you'll have to download LVUI manually anyway, so what you'll have to do is replace the files in the destination. So once you replace the files in the destination, it'll bring up LVUI and LVUI options. Now that's basically it. It's really simple, it's not hard to do, and it only takes just a second to do it. Now once you've done that, if you have WoW up and it's playing, you actually have to come out of the game, completely exit it, restart it, and once you restart it, that's when the magic happens. So I'm going to go ahead and come off this screen for a minute. I'm going to switch over to my other screen now, and now you can see me back in game. Now once you've done that, the rest of this is pretty straightforward. So we're going to exit, at least not exit, but I'm going to log out, and I have to do the 20-second little log out thing. I wish they would get rid of that. It's kind of silly. But once we do this, we're going to go back to our character select screen, and then we'll see what changes, and it's actually pretty significant. So once you learn this part of it, it's pretty fun. Now you click add-ons. Now like I said, I have a lot of add-ons, so just disregard this. Now yours will be up here where this is because it's your first one. Now once you get a bunch, you're gonna have to kind of look for stuff. So LVUI, and make sure that you hit OK. Now when you hit OK, basically enter world, and everything's going to change. Now, as you can see, everything's different. Tells you where you are, tells you durability, the time. I mean, there's a lot of different things that this thing does. It changes your, basically your keybinds, or not even your keybinds, but just where your the keys show, like your 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have custom keybinds, so this is gonna be a little different for each of you. Should be just like 1 through the equal sign for the first bar, but I've changed that for myself. Now I'm going to make a separate video on how to do keybinds. I'm also going to show you how to do macros, and I'm also going to show you other add-ons that are going to make your life a lot easier. So we could skip the process, but for the initial installation, since you are all new at this, I want you to be able to see it. Now what we'll do is we'll hit continue, and then set up CVARs. You basically just want to click that. It's recommended. You should do this step for everything to behave properly. So importance is high. Set CVARs. Once that's done, hit continue. Set up chat, and it'll set up chat to be a little different. Now you can resize these through the general. If you right click it, you can resize and rename the windows. You can change the font sizes. So I might make the font sizes a little bit bigger so that you can see things. You'll also be able to resize these windows, so that makes it kind of fun. Now once you do that, once it's set up, you hit continue again. Now this is where you can check a classic LVUI theme, a dark theme, or your class theme. Now that just changes things like your player bar and stuff like that. Now you can go with the dark theme, or you can go, but I like to be what my class is, so go pink. And then you hit continue. Now the LVUI UI itself can actually be scaled. You can make this considerably bigger. Now what it'll do is make all these much larger. Now you can also auto scale it, but we're going to preview and see how much bigger it is. Now that's considerably bigger for people. Now you can also auto scale it, and it'll make it really small again. Depends on what you like. Now, just for the ease of video, I want to be able to show this to you in an easy way so you can all see it. We're going to go with the bigger 0.65. Now you can go all the way up to 1.15, but that's huge. I don't really know if you'll be able to do that or even need that. So we'll hit continue. Now this is another thing. This is just your layout. Now tank, physical DPS, healer, or caster DPS. Now this will change the configuration of your bars here. Now if you click yourself, it'll bring up a lot of different things. Basically your target of target, all that kind of stuff like that. So basically, since I'm targeting myself, this is the target. Now my target is targeting myself, so it shows you all of those windows, and it also show you buffs, winds of wisdom. So we have the 100% experience buff. Now I'm going to change it to tank physical DPS. Now that changes everything around. You can reconfigure all these bars to be somewhere different, so you don't have to keep it that way. Now for healers, it's not that much different. And then caster DPS, it can always change, but really for tank physical DPS, basically just pick whatever role you are going to be. So for me, it's physical DPS and tank. If you want to be a healer, heal, caster DPS, caster DPS. So we'll go with tank physical DPS. Now hit continue. Now you can use the aura bars and icons, or the icons only. Those are those things like up here, winds of wisdom, so it kind of shows you what they are. Now there's actually a separate add-on I'll show you if you're interested that kind of replaces that, and then it can kind of make things a little wonky to learn how to fix. But once you learn how to do that, and it's not even something you have to do, but if anybody's interested, I can teach them. So aura bars and icons, we'll click that, hit continue, and then it shows you a Discord that they have if you have questions about LVUI. So we're finished, and what it's going to do is going to reload everything up. Now once it's reloaded, it's going to show you like technical support. You can go through all these different things, like you can toggle the micro bar by using your middle mouse button on the mini map. That's how you resize. And if you click in your middle mouse bar button on your mouse, if you have one, you can actually see all these things. Now, there's another way you can actually use LVUI to let's see. You can use LVUI to show your called your micro bar. Now I know that this is probably overwhelming. Now, once you learn how to do this, it's not that hard. Now, I will just quickly show you one thing. If you escape, you'll see LVUI, and you can click LVUI. And if you don't want to do it that way, you can hit Enter/EC. It'll bring up the same thing. Now, this brings up your whole LVUI options bar. So you can change your action bars, your bags, buffs, debuffs, cooldowns, basically everything in the whole game. So once you learn how to do that, it makes everything quite a bit easier. Now we wanted to see action bars, they're enabled. Now the micro bar, we want to show that, so we'll hit enabled, and it brings it up here on the top left corner. Now the beautiful part about this is you can move all this around by hitting toggle anchors. Now I'll show that again. It's right here at the bottom left. It unlocks various elements of the UI to be repositioned. So you click it, it's going to bring up a whole bunch of little boxes. Now you can completely move this around. So I'm going to hold left click down and move it down to the bottom so it's aligned with this down here. Now that's pretty much it. You let go of it, you hit lock, and it brings this down here. Now with the action bars, basically you can switch that around to change the button sizes. So you go to player bars, you can put up to 10 different bars. So you can change how many buttons you have on your bar, and then you just remove this. You can also resize the button size. So that's pretty easy. I usually keep it about 30 for me personally, and then you can do backdrop spacings and all these other things, width multipliers. Button spacing itself will actually spread them out if you want them to be that way, or crush them in if you really want them close. But I keep it at 0, And that's pretty much it for that. Now, if you want the bars to be vertical instead of horizontal, say you want them to be over here, you can change this buttons per row to be 0, and then let's see, button height, where's the, yeah, there it is. So you can move this box around, and then if you hit toggle anchors, I can move the whole thing over here if you want to. Not that you're going to want to, but just for the sake of it, I'm showing you how to do it. So that's pretty much it on how to use LVUI and how to manually download an add-on. So I hope that helped a little bit. The next part of this video is going to be how to actually use the Twitch app. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed we're back with the Twitch app version of the videos. So Twitch app is considerably easier than manually downloading, even though manually downloading isn't that hard. In comparison, it is quite a difference. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is we're going to switch over, and you're going to want to put in basically Twitch app on your browser, and you will find a twitch.tv/downloads. Now, it'll bring up this screen depending on what OS you're using, apps for Macs or apps for Windows. So we're going to do the download for Windows. Now, it's the exact same thing. The bottom left hand screen is going to show you a little box that you've downloaded something. Now, I know my camera is blocking that, but I'm pretty sure that you can figure out that there is a download. So wherever it is on your browser that you have a download, that's where you go. Now, you just basically click that, and you do the same thing that you would have done pretty much for the LVUI, and it might even be easier. But what it's going to do is it's going to bring up this screen. Now, you might have to start up a Twitch account or something like that. That's not hard. Just have a valid email. If you already have a Twitch account, you basically start from here. Now, what it'll probably ask you to do is scan for games. So what we're going to do is go to basically mods. You'll click mods, and then I have Minecraft and World of Warcraft that are games that this actually works for. Now, it works for quite a few other games, but these are the ones that I have downloaded. So World of Warcraft, you click there. Now, what you'll see here is my add-ons and a get more add-ons. Now, you should have no add-ons. LVUI will not show up on this particular app because it's not supported. They have their own site. Now, what you're seeing here is my classic add-ons, because I also play a little WoW Classic. Not very much. I'm only like a level 30 mage, but it's just something I kind of dabbled in a little bit. Now, what you may already have during the installation process is it may ask you what path or what folder is your WoW folder on. Now, if it doesn't do that, you can click the little gear right here. Once you click the little gear, you would go to either add game or scan for installed games. Now, if you scan for installed games, it's going to basically scan your whole computer for any game that would work with this app. Now, that's also very easy. Now, it should automatically bring up in this window classic or retail. Now, we'll hit retail, and it's going to change. You should still have nothing here, and that's really it. Then you would go to get more add-ons. You click get more add-ons, and then from here it's going to show you the most popular ones. Now, I want to maximize this. World Quest Tracker. You don't really need Prat or any kind of chat stuff because you don't really need to change it because of LVUI. Now, Recount, I wouldn't suggest that one either. There's damage meters that you can get. I would suggest Details. Now, I'm also going to go over what add-ons would be the best ones for you to get to start. And then you can kind of go from there. And they're all pretty straightforward. They all have options menus like LVUI to a degree. There's also, when you hit escape, you can see interface folder or interface options to change some of the add-ons yourself. Now, these are all decent add-ons. Now, the only one I would really suggest you probably start out with is something like Deadly Boss Mods Or if you don't like that one, you can try Bigwigs, but I think Deadly Boss Bonds is by far the most downloaded. A good damage meter is Details. Details is really good. If you're having trouble with your rotation, and it usually only works for max level players, but there's a add-on called Hikili, and just put in Hekili, and I'll just do that, and then you hit enter, and you do it in a little search bar right here, and hit enter, and it'll bring up Hikili. Now, once you click Hikili, you click that, and you can learn all about the add-on. What it does is it kind of helps you with your rotation so that you can get better at it. Now, it'll give you an option to download the add-on. Like, we'll just do one that I have not downloaded yet. Let me see one that I haven't done in a while. Let's see, we'll do Method Dungeon Tools. And then you would basically click Install, and that's it. That's super easy. Now what it'll do is when you go to My Add-ons, you can pretty much see all the add-ons I have, and if you're having trouble finding one in particular, you can click in Method, enter, and then it'll show you what it does, and you can click that, do the same thing. This is a little bit more than you probably even need, but this is just something that you can work with. It helps you plan out strategies for Mythic Plus and stuff like that, which is cool, but it's not something that a new player is really going to need. Now, I'll go through the add-ons just real quick that I would suggest you get as a new player. You don't like Go-Go Mount's pretty fun, but you don't need it. Details, I would highly suggest you get because you want to kind of see if your damage is getting better. Postal is also a really good add-on because it'll make it to where you can find your alts to be able to trade things amongst each other a lot more easily. LVUI also does have some things on here, like Location Plus. That was a thing at the very top of my screen that was showing where I was at, and you don't have to have that, but there's things that you can buy or download that make your life just a little bit easier too. Handy Notes, I would suggest you get if you're an achievement person. Let's see, trying to find the best ones. GTFO, if you have trouble standing in fire and you don't realize it, GTFO is probably one of the best add-ons you can get. It will basically scream at you with big sirens and alarms and things like that. Now, Handy Notes has a lot of different basically subfolders that you can kind of add to Handy Notes if you want something specific. Let's see what else. Personal Loot Helper, if you're in dungeons and you just don't want to whisper that guy or girl or whoever it is, like, oh man, the sword dropped, but you don't need it, can I have it? This Personal Loot Helper will automatically whisper them that it's an upgrade for you, and most of the time they'll give it to you, especially if they don't need it. Def's Camera Zoom is what I use if you want to increase the distance that you can zoom in and zoom out. Well, not even zoom in, but just zooming out a lot farther, and you can actually make it where it zooms in a little faster too. Let's see what else you would really need, because like I said, Deja character stats. If you want to know more about your character's stats in a lot more detail, that's a good add-on to have. Now, Ekano's buff bars was the add-on I was talking about earlier in the video that would kind of replace the buffs and debuffs portion on the top right to show you, basically it'll name the buff or debuff rather than just have an icon that you have to hover over. So I would probably suggest that one too, but it's not something you have to have. But Hikili is really good if you're just trying to learn a rotation. You don't really need that one either. Ask Mr. Robot. People kind of hate on that one, but it used to be decent. Like raid bots and sims don't really give you anything to help you with healing or tanking stats. So Ask Mr. Robot can do that, but it actually comes with a separate website that you actually have to go to, and you have to copy and paste things from one to the other, and it can kind of be tedious. But if you're really wanting to learn how to min-max your characters, that's a decent start, at least. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's something to do. Let's see. Week Wars is a lot more advanced, and I'll probably make a whole separate video just on Week Wars because you can pretty much. It's almost as transformative as LVUI is in terms of your gameplay. It can give you alerts on boss mechanics and a lot of other things like that. Things like your kind of buffs, like if you have a trinket proc and you don't know it procced, you can make alarms and sounders like ding ding, okay, something just popped, or an essence power up or something that just helps you boost your character, and you're like, oh yeah, I need to really hit this boss now. So later on, like if you're in Zoldazar or you know Borealis, wherever you're at, there's the scrapper that you're gonna need. Easy scrap's a good add-on for that. It just kind of makes it where you can throw all of the stuff in there and just hit scrap and you're done, and pretty easy. And it will not do the stuff that's important, like if you have gear sets, it will not delete your gear sets, but just double check it. Move anything used to be really good. I think it still does the same thing. You can use it if you want to. If you're a mage, I would highly suggest Mage Nuggets. Really good add-on. It kind of helps you know when your procs come up if you're having trouble with the default UI. If you're into raid bots and simming, Simulation Craft is a must-have because you can seamlessly go between the game and the website, and you can copy and paste all your information into the website to be able to sim your character. Now, a little known thing, not everybody knows this, if you want to copy something in game, especially like Simulation Craft, it'll bring up this whole box of text. If you hit Control A, and then that'll basically select everything in the box for Control All, and then hit Control C, we'll copy it, and then if you want to paste something, it can be Control V. And that just makes things like little keyboard shortcuts like that make it a lot easier. Now there's things for transmogs. Let's see what else. Me Too is probably not the best name, honestly, for this too. But if someone has a mount, you can use the Me Too add-on to see if you have that mount, and it'll automatically get you on it. So really good for like if you're into mount offs, like Osmongold does those mount contests, where if you just want to quickly get into the mount that he selects, you can just use the add-on and bam, you got it. Mog, it's good if you're into transmog. I would highly suggest that one. There's a lot of like collection add-ons that you can get. All the Things is really good. There's quite a few other ones. Let's see. Buy 'em all. It used to be pretty good, but I don't know if it works anymore. World Quest Group Finder is pretty good. Haven't used it in a while. Actually, I don't even think it's updated anymore, but it says it is, but I just don't think it really works as well. Let's see. Like I said, I have a lot. You know, these are over years and years of using these add-ons, so it's a collection. TomTom, if you want to be able to set waypoints on your map to where it'll show a little green arrow, kind of the direction you need to go, so that kind of helps a little bit too. SCADA used to be okay, but not anymore. All the Things would be one I would suggest. Decursive is also a really good add-on. It'll put a little purple box on your screen if you have something that's dispellable. You can automatically click that rather than having to click a separate thing for it. If for some reason Hikili doesn't work for you, Ovale Spell Priority also works pretty well. And I would also suggest Garrison Mission Manager. That's a really good one. It'll help you with your mission table stuff, kind of automatically set your things to be the highest amount of percentage so you get things done. Healers Have to Die is good if you're into PvP, or if you just want to know someone, like a mob in a raid is healing, and oh crap, that Shadow Mender in Nihilotha is healing their buddies up. You need to kill that thing really quick. Healers Have to Die will put a little cross above their character so that you know you need to priority kill that target, or at least CC it, interrupt it, something like that. Extended Transmog UI is also pretty cool. If you're into Transmog, you only have a certain amount of Transmog sets that you can have. Extended Transmog increases that by a pretty substantial amount. And then last one here at least would be Auctionator. Auction add-ons are kind of important if you're really into being a good goblin whale, making some money. There is one called Trade Skill. I forget the actual name of it, but let me see. I think, what is it called? Trade Skill something. I for the life of me I can't remember. Trade Skill Master. That's it. This one here is pretty big. It is pretty confusing for someone who's very new to the game, so it may overwhelm you. But if you're really into min-maxing your trades, gold making ability, that add-on is really good. That's pretty much it for this video on how to use the Twitch app. But what it'll do is, at least for this portion of it, once you get into downloading all these, you will also have to leave the game again and go into basically exiting, come back in, and then when you come back in, you're gonna have to check out add-ons. You click add-ons, and then you'll have to basically put in all the things that you want. So all the things is add-on for tracking collections and account completion, which is cool to have. You don't have to have those things, but it is kind of cool to have. Auctionator for the auction stuff. Let's see, something like easy I can show you that you probably really want to have off the bat would be Details. Now Details also has extra little add-ons that you can add to the add-on. Like every add-on has like a little flavor add-on that you can add to it to make your life a little bit easier. So I'm just going to turn off those, and I'm only going to use Details. So there's an option to reload your UI. So you reload your UI and it'll bring this screen up, and that's pretty much it. Now it's going to show you this little box and you're like, oh god, I don't know what to do with this thing. You just click and hold the top of it and you can move it around. Now if you have multiple characters, you're an altaholic, you can basically copy your profile. You can use a new profile, which is fine, which for you, that is what you'll do. Or if you have multiple players and you've already done this, you can actually take one of those people and basically showing you a lot of my character list of my 120s and whatnot, but our people I've done this for, and that's pretty much it. Now we're just going to use a new profile and hit OK. And I have not seen exactly what it does in a while, so let's just see if it even, yeah, it gives me just a little bit, and I don't really have anything I need to do other than hit 1 because it's a brand new character, but I hit a character and I did a thing. Now if it's a new character, for me, I like to make it auto loot. So you go to interface, auto loot, and that's something. Now on that same thing you'll see add-ons. So you click add-ons and it'll show you add-ons that you have downloaded, and you can click Details to or for at least for this option, hit open options panel, and then you can change like what the general bars look like, what the text looks like. You can change tooltips. There's even streamer settings, the wallpapers, automation. Just there's so many things. I would be spending like 10 hours if I just showed you every single thing that this can do. So basically the best thing to do is just to kind of play with it, figure out what you like the most, and then kind of go from there. Now let's see, I'll change like one thing. Change the text font to just, let's find something wonky. So Dojo Sensei looks funny now. So that's it. You would go through all those different things. You can even do macros from this. Click your like I said, it can be a little overwhelming, but you don't have to have these particular things. This is just extra stuff. So you really don't worry about that. Just exit out of it, hit cancel, and then return the game. And that's really it. I'll hit a few more folks just to show you. You see 16. I'm kind of just doing slow work at level 1. it also shows your experience bar, so you can, like I said, you can change where all of this stuff is. So it's not that hard once you learn it, but once you learn it, you're gonna really love add-ons. So I hope this helps anybody who is really wondering about how add-ons are downloaded. And if you need any help with anything like that, you could message me in game at basically Lucidin, Lucidin on Hijaw, or you can just leave a comment on the YouTube channel, like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. So once you do all those things, I'm going to be sure to make videos on macros. I'm also going to make videos on key binding and a lot of other things too, if anybody is really interested in it. So we'll get some work done, and I'm really wanting to help my guild get better so that they can maximize the fun that they can have in this game that's been around for so long. So take care of you guys, and I'll see you next time.